Well, call it five in a row. Jeez. Five in a row for the Dodgers to go down. I am Greg Bergman. This is the new and improved Blue Review with Greg Bergman at Bergman Greg on Twitter, at Bergman Greg on Instagram. I'm also on ESPN Los Angeles, Periscope. What's going on? You guys know me from Mason and Ireland. I'm the producer of Mason and Ireland. So welcome to the Blue Review. And I am just trying to get everything kind of all set up at once here at the same time. But that was very, very disappointing. I really would have liked to have seen a win there, five in a row. And yes, Sam416 on Instagram. I thought we had it in the eighth. Totally with you there. I thought we had it in the eighth as well. And you got Josh Hader over 30 pitches in one inning, and you have to score on him in those situations. You had bases loaded. We've talked about this very many times on last year's post games, and at this year's post games, it's all still the same. When you put together a 30-plus pitch inning versus a starter, you have to go with somebody. You have to get runs across in that situation. It has to happen in those situations. Whenever you get 30 pitches, bases loaded against a guy like that, you gotta get runs across to have a chance at winning a game like that. And yes, the lovely Roseva 7. This is frustrating. Taylor Spencer 4414. Pitching is to blame this game, but we still got to get through this. It's still pretty early, and we'll get into all of that kind of stuff coming up soon. By the way, what's up, Greg? What's up, Ryan D. Montes? And yes, Apex323, I am still at the station. This is crazy. I have been here since 9 o'clock this morning, and it is now 11:15 at night, and I have an hour here with you guys. So yes, I am here. I've been over here for way over 12 hours now, and it's not just been this. I did Mason and Ireland today, and then I did right after Mason and Ireland for Showtime Forum. I did a live stream for you guys for talk about Luke Walton on Showtime Forum, and then I stuck around and I went on with Alan Sliwa at around 8:15 at night, and then now I waited here to come on and do this post game with you guys. So here we are, another post game with you guys, and I'm very, very happy to be here again. I'm on a whole bunch of different platforms now. Just want to get that out first. I am on the ESPN LA Periscope. I am on my own specific Periscope, which is at Bergman Greg, which it doesn't seem to be working all that well at the moment. It doesn't seem to be sending to that, which is a little frustrating. But so we have that, and then I also have a Twitch channel that I made that had made for me, and it's actually MPG_postgame, which I need to change to that. I have a Greg Bergman, I think it's MPG postgame, also on YouTube, on my Instagram at Bergman Greg, and Facebook, just Greg Bergman. Find my picture of me in a cartoon face on Facebook. So that's 6 different platforms for you guys, and I'm happy to be here with that. Shane K. Lee, congrats on the new show and great name. Appreciate it. This was actually Cole Wright. Cole Wright, you know him from the NFL Network now. He came up with the name, and I actually really liked it, so I said, you know what, let's move on with the Blue Review with Greg Bergman, and I think that's a good spot to start off with for here. Janice Day Off, what's up with Pollock? Look, I mean, he's struggling a little bit at the plate, where he's just not finding too many hits. He gets on base every once in a while, but it's early, and a lot of these guys are going to go up and down pretty early. Arlene DJW, good thing you're young, Greg. Yeah, look, I'm 35. I don't feel like I'm young. I got 3 kids. I know that sounds weird, but I have a stepdaughter who's 17, and then I have 2 kids that are both 7. Shane Kaylee, not too worried about this team this season. Only area I'm really concerned about is the bullpen, and we're going to get into the bullpen because that's all going to happen when I get into my topics coming up shortly. Real FRG, what's up, FRG? Cole Wright, friend of the show. That's right, because he works for the Dodgers as well. He's NFL Network, and he works for Sportsnet LA as well, doing some of the games. So you'll see him a lot of times at the stadium as well, and he will be at some point. Especially when if he's at the stadium, he can just pop right on over here afterwards, and he will be with me live. I've been friends with him for quite some time when I worked with him at Fox Sports Radio. All right, and then Trick Cards. Let's go. Dang, we almost had it in the 8th. Twitch. We got a Twitch celebrity in here, so thank you, Trick Cards, for being here. Oh, K. Moynihan. Sausage Jeans. Haven't heard that one in quite some time. Selly Sells. Hey, Greg, do you think we should explore some trades for pitching? No, I do not. It's way, way too early. And on that note, I really want to get into my topic so we can really talk about what happened in this game and really what's happening all around with the Dodgers, so we understand a little bit about why this 5-game losing streak is really happening. So 5 in a row. They have lost 5 in a row. The bats completely fell asleep for the first 3 games against St. Louis while they were in St. Louis, and then they came alive in that 4th game. But Walker Buehler wasn't feeling like himself. He wasn't. I wonder a little bit about if it matters so much that Rocky Gale was the catcher for Walker that game, because look, he's a guy that was brought up because Russell Martin was put on the IL. It's going to take me a while to get through that DL-IL switch, but the IL, he went on to the IL. So now you have Rocky Gale coming up to back up Austin Barnes, and so I wonder a little bit. Apparently we are talking about it a little bit with Rick Krajewski, who's a great stats guy for Joe and Oral, and he was saying that it wasn't so much about Rocky Gale's play calling or game calling, but I have to think that it had a little bit to do with that, just because every time I looked up and saw the game yesterday, I saw he was either striking out or a ball was getting past him or he was overthrowing somebody. There was just a lot of issues there, and I wonder if that had a little bit to do with it, but I think a lot of it has to do with just bad pitching so far. And no, Robin Yeezy, we are not on the panic button yet. I know you're laughing. I see you laughing there on Instagram, but it's not about that. It's not panic button time. That's not how this goes. But 5 in a row, a little bit rough, but it's early, so it's not so bad. The Dodgers are now 8-7, and they're right behind the San Diego Padres, which is crazy, who won their 10th game tonight. Can you imagine that? 10 games for the Padres. 10-5, I believe they are. 5 games above 500. They hadn't been above 500 since, I think, 2015. So that's a crazy feat for them. But there's always that team at the beginning of the year that just takes off and is really, really good at the beginning of the year and then just completely falls apart. I feel like that's going to be the Padres, and the Dodgers will be fine moving forward. All right, the bullpen. The bullpen is a very tough thing for people to really understand. I really want to look at the bullpen a little bit more objectively than normal, because when you look at it, look at who the guys are that are actually struggling. Joe Kelly is one of the main ones that is struggling. And yes, he is struggling big time. He had a clean inning in that, I think it was the 7th inning. He had a clean inning. At that point, you kind of want to give him that. Say, all right, you had your clean inning. Let's sit you down and not let you get any more runs scored against you, because so you can have a clean outing, not just that one inning. Unfortunately, Dave Roberts, which I totally understand, because what he did was he did a double switch with Kike Hernandez coming out at second base, and you move in Chris Taylor, who actually had a hit later on in the game against Josh Hader, so that helps. However, it was very much you make that double switch, which usually signals to the fact that that pitcher is going to stick in for a little bit longer, because the pitcher goes into the spot that was the last guy up, and then you have Taylor come in and play second base. So you're assuming that Joe Kelly is going to be in there for more than one inning. I would have loved to have only seen one inning out of Joe Kelly and seen somebody else go in there. Give me Jamie Schultz. Give me Dennis Santana. Give me Caleb Ferguson, who we kind of want to save, and I know that that's not but JC Chagua, or JT, whatever, whoever it happens to be. I want to just give the confidence to Joe Kelly. Like, look, you had your clean outing and didn't go into that second inning. Unfortunately, I understand why they did it. I'm just not the biggest fan of that move. After that, Urias. All right. Julio Urias has been a little bit up and down, and he had a really good first outing, and the last 2 have been a little bit more shaky. And what you're seeing here a lot from today was that his secondary pitches just aren't there as much as they really need to be. He's not ready yet, and you can see why he's going to be one of the guys that are going to end up moving into the bullpen when Kershaw comes back on Monday, or when Rich Hill comes back coming up here pretty soon. So Urias, you can see he's only, I think this one might have been his last start with Kershaw coming back to pitch on Monday, which is going to be on ESPN not blacked out. You can watch the game on ESPN not blacked out in LA. That's a big deal. And Urias will be better in the pen, and I see Jan Stayoff is saying the exact same thing, that Urias will be better in the pen, which I totally agree with, because now we're starting to see he's just coming off shoulder surgery. That was not Tommy John. He just had shoulder surgery, and he pitched well out of the bullpen in the playoffs, and he looked like in that first outing he looked good, but it's still just there's only by one pitch. He's getting 95, 96 on his fastball, but his breaking pitches are not breaking as well, and he's still hanging a lot of those, which he hung a curveball that just got blasted in this game. So I believe it was Aguilar, or I'm blanking on exactly who it was that hit the home run off him, but it was he was getting hit, which has been a problem. And we saw this was a crazy game of back and forth of like 2-run home run, then 2-run home run, then 2-run home run, and that's just kind of how this was a weird game for the Dodgers where they ended up scoring 5 runs and it was all by the home run. That doesn't sound weird, but this year alone, they've been scoring over half of their runs not because of the home run, and they've been moving guys along. And at the beginning of the season, you saw what everybody kind of wants: a little bit more of that small ball, where they're trying to break the shift and go opposite field, or they're just hitting singles, doubles, trying to move guys around the bases. So that was a positive thing for them in the earlier part of the year, and now we're in this spot now where it's a little bit more home run heavy, which is a little bit frustrating, but that's all going to kind of come around coming up soon. And it's early. Let's just be clear on this, okay? It's still very, very early. They are now 8-7. That's 15 games out of 162. I know we all want to freak out and say this bullpen is terrible. We want to say that that the pitching staff is terrible and all that, but really, I meant to do this before, but let's look at the pitching staff, the bullpen really quickly. Brock Stewart gave up a ton of runs. He's now in AAA because he had options. He's going back and forth. But he himself had an 18 ERA and was getting destroyed. Joe Kelly has been bad. We talked about Joe Kelly. We understand that he needs to be in a little bit smaller doses and when games aren't on the line. Just for right now, until he can really figure himself out, which I really hope and believe that he will be doing that at some point. Yimi Garcia, another guy, doesn't have any options, so you can't just put him down in AAA, but he's kind of on a spot here where he's not gonna, I just can't see him sticking on the team for very much longer. He's got good stuff, but unfortunately, he's just getting hit over and over again. And so when guys come off the DL, somebody has to move. They brought up Jamie Schultz. He's probably going to go back down. They brought up JC Chagua. He's probably going to go back down to keep Yimi on there as long as possible because he has such great stuff, and he has no more options. So you either got to let him go and let somebody else get him, or you keep him on the roster, and because it's so early, I feel like he's going to stick on the roster for a little bit longer. And then it's guys like Pedro Baez, who you're hoping kind of figures out he was not good the other day. So the two main culprits in all of this are Joe Kelly and Pedro Baez. Those are your two guys that you're kind of count on in the late inning situations. But if you look at everybody else, yes, I know Kenley gave up a run today, but he had been pretty solid going through. He hadn't given up an earned run yet. So Kenley Jansen, Dylan Floro had been really good. Caleb Ferguson has been really good. Scott Alexander had been good. Jamie Schultz in his one outing was also pretty good. Scott Alexander, we said, Dennis Santana when he pitched really, really well. So the guys that you're normally used to seeing in the back end of the bullpen are actually pitching really well. And it's the guys that it's the Brock Stewarts and the Yimi Garcias and the JC Chaguas, and those guys are kind of the ones that are hurting the bullpen, that make it seem so much worse and make that bullpen ERA really implode as much as it really is, because the main guys, Kenley, Caleb, Dylan, and Scott Alexander, those guys are all pitching really well. We just got to get Joe Kelly and Pedro Baez on the same tip, and then you're doing okay. All right, that's enough of my stuff here. I want to get into all of the things that you guys want to talk about. I'm just going to throw ESPN Los Angeles down on the bottom there so that everybody can see it, and then I'm going to start answering all of your questions as best and fast as I can. Dash O says, excited for Kershaw Day on Monday. Yes, I am excited for Kershaw Day on Monday. I like that it took him a little bit of time. I'm okay with him being in the middle of April before he comes. You know what? If he needed a little bit more time, I would have been fine with that too. I'm okay with what we're seeing here. I would love to be 15-0. I would love to be 14-1, or whatever you want to say, 10-5, however you want to look at it. But they're 8-7, and there's still chances going on here. They played really well against the division itself, so that helps when you play them 19 times in a year. So yes, Kershaw Day. I'm really excited for Kershaw Day. I hope that his velocity comes back up, that he is hitting his spots, that he's being more of a control pitcher, and that's what we're expecting out of him. on Monday, on ESPN, on Jackie Robinson Day. Big day. J9 Mama, I thought Caleb was going to be a long reliever. He's had what, one outing that was 1+ innings? Yeah, he's pitched in 7 games and he's thrown 6 innings. So I mean, he's out there. And he's still young. I think he's 22 years old, somewhere right around there. He's not, you don't want to just overthrow him, and you really want to be careful with these guys because bullpens are crazy. And we talk about this every year, and we talk about it all the time, is that bullpens that you see at the beginning of the year are not the same bullpen that you see at the end of the year. We're going to see a lot of different guys moving up and down. There's a lot of guys in the minor league system that can really come up and help, whether it's guys that are starters down there to come up and just be relievers here because the pitching staff is so deep with the starting pitching. So if you see Tony Gonsolin, maybe he comes up and he pitches out of the bullpen. I know he's a starter, but that could be get him some time there, just like Dennis Santana came up to pitch out of the bullpen. Caleb Ferguson and Dennis Santana were both starters originally last year, and they came up and they were pitching out of the bullpen, and they're pitching out of there now. Urias, same deal. Starting pitcher, pitching out of the pen. Kenta Maeda moves there to the pen. Ross Stripling is going to go back to the pen as well. So the pen is going to change. Let's not freak out too much about that just yet. So who's starting tomorrow, Janus Day off? They have not announced it. Unless they've announced it after the game was over, I don't know who it's going to be tomorrow. It could really be anybody. It could be somebody coming up from the minor leagues, or they could come out and move Stripling there or whatever. I'm not sure where they're going to go with that yet. Bougie Butera says, when they get back to the World Series, this loss won't matter. Laugh. Exactly. I'm not talking so much about the loss itself as just the state of the Dodgers in general right now, because if we're going to start going crazy over wins and losses every single game and living and dying by every single loss, it's going to be a long season. 162 games, you're going to lose at least 60 of those games. So it just depends on the other 42. So really, you're okay with losing those 60 games. It's going to happen. We all know it's going to happen. So let's just kind of relax just a little bit. Trick cards. I think if Joe Kelly finds himself, our bullpen will be fine. I agree with that. Plus, Kershaw, Hill, and Ryu will come back, and Buehler will find himself. Yes, all these guys will start being. And panic level, DC Jameson is like a 0. If you want me to put a number on it, it's 1. I don't have any panic whatsoever. I'm not going to panic at all until we're in June at the earliest. If we're 10, 15, 20 games below 500 in June, then it's really panic time. Remember last year, the Dodgers were down 10 games below 500, and I believe in May. So it's not so much that it's not so much about 8-7 right now on April 12th. Just too early to start being upset about it. Dash, Ferguson starting tomorrow. Did that come out? Is that Ferguson? There you go. So they announced Caleb Ferguson is starting again. So there was a guy. Fine, I understand why he wasn't in the pen, but that's a good thing right there. Maybe it's more of a bullpen game because but they can allow him to go long. He was a starter, so this is great. I'm happy with seeing Caleb Ferguson coming out and pitching tomorrow. I could easily see him going 5 innings. They'll probably keep him on a little bit of a pitch count just because they want him to be healthy and ready to go in the bullpen when it really means time. But announcing Caleb Ferguson starting, to me, is a good thing. And then now Mark Sox 1313 is saying Dennis Santana's penciled in as a starter, but they're announcing Caleb Ferguson, so everything that I'm seeing here is all Caleb Ferguson. Caleb Ferguson is great. Maxim Bay, Floro is on his way to earning a bobblehead. Yeah, look, Dylan Floro has been fantastic. I'm very happy with what I'm seeing from Dylan Floro. Another guy out of the bullpen that is doing everything that we kind of want him to, especially at this time of year. It's the middle parts right now, that just the Joe Kellys and the Pedro Baez's that are being the biggest issue. And Baez, he was so good, so good in September and October last year. I have to believe that he's going to get back. I was a huge Baez hater. Don't prove me wrong, man. Do not, please do not prove me wrong. Let's see. Oh, geez. Best one ever won. Palinka says hi. I'm sure he does, and I'm sure if he ever knew who I was, which he has no idea who I am, I would assume that I would not be his favorite person. Caleb Ferguson starting tomorrow, according to Alana Rizzo. Anything Alana Rizzo says, I believe. There's certain people that when they say it, you believe it, and no matter what, I believe what Alana Rizzo says. Just how it is. Chibaka says, I'm depressed about the Lakers. A lot of people are, but this is Dodgers postgame. So I did enough Laker talk all day today to now it's time to talk about the Dodgers. Ryan D. Montez, yeah, I'm a big fan and supporter of Floro when some other people aren't. People should be a fan of Floro at this point because he has been so good. Odinil AGC, Greg, what's happening? Welcome back. Frank Talkella, you miss Ryan Madsen or no? Frank Talk, you are easily trying to make this, you're trying to upset me with that. No, nobody in this world misses Ryan Madsen, period, and I'm definitely not one of them. Oh, Zed James, what's up, man? Bergman raw. There is no raw. And you heard with Berg, I almost went with that, Zed. I almost went with that because I'm a huge fan of Parks and Rec, but Cole Wright came through with the blue review, and I thought that was just a strong name. That's why I went with that. The Aaron MP Floro has been a soldier for the Doyers since last year. He has my support. Yeah, I think he has a lot of guys' support at this point, and there's a lot of people that there's someone in a big part of Dodgers Twitter that says Dylan Floro's #1 fan, and that's been for a long time. So she was on top of that early. Adrian 416, loving that Bellinger is consistently staying hot. He is staying scorching hot right now. I love what I'm seeing from from Cody Bellinger. He has just turned into a completely different player. He is an MVP caliber player all over the place at this point. I had him on my topics but after the loss, I had to change things around because he did have the big home run. Plus, he also, for his 8th home run of the year, and also, man, that dude is fast. That dude is crazy fast. You see him slide to get into first base, and then, God, he has some wheels, and then still steals a base right after that. He has been nothing but nails every single game, nonstop. And you know what? And honestly, I'm happy with what I'm seeing from Corey Seager too. He started off a little bit slow, which was to be expected, but he's getting hits now. He walked a couple times tonight. He got a couple hits, including a double and a home run. So that's all good things from him. Very happy with that. Jermaine Armenta, 5 back-to-back losses, not good at all. There's plenty of baseball to play, but the lack of depth in the bullpen is slowly starting to scare me, along with having the bases loaded and not scoring any runs from them. They need to start improving because the real tests aren't in the NL West, but in the Central and East Division, along with the AL teams. There's some good points in there, Jermaine, but I believe in the bullpen. I think the bullpen will get better as we continue to move along the year. But yes, the West is not that tough, and they're going to pull away in the West. I totally believe that. And there are other good teams. It's just how it is. There are good teams inside of this division, inside of this league. Like the Brewers are good. The St. Louis Cardinals just swept, and that is a very good team. Their pitching staff is very strong too. They started off slow, but really the Dodgers just kind of helped them move forward. The Cubs will figure it out at some point. The Mets aren't going to stay hot like that. The Phillies are going to be good. The Braves are going to be really good. They're in kind of the same position, 7-6, but they're doing things the right way. And look, teams like Seattle Mariners, 13-3, that's not to be expected. That's not sticking around. I can't believe that that's something that happens much longer. Then we also have, let's see, thoughts on CT3, Janis Dayoff. He's struggling at the plate. I know he got that little bloop hit off of Josh Hader today, but he's struggling at the plate. He still hasn't found his swing, and that's why Kike Hernandez won out in spring training. Won that second base everyday spot because that's where he belongs right now. The bat's hot, the glove is hot. He belongs there. You're seeing some good defense. When you do sit Kike Hernandez, though, you're not losing any defense by bringing in CT3. So I like that he can do that, and he can play in so many different positions. The positionality of him is very, very helpful as well. Shane K. Lee, Keuchel's still available. He is still available. You're probably not going to get him for a small amount of money. I don't know what the exact number is, but it can't be low, and that's probably where it's going to start getting a little bit tough. Now, another guy that a lot of people really like to talk about is Craig Kimbrel. And Kimbrel is one of those guys that you think to yourself, wow, this bullpen is so bad, and they need to go get me Craig Kimbrel. That's what needs to happen. Go get Craig Kimbrel. Do not go get Craig Kimbrel. Here, what is happening. This is from Jason Stark, and Jason Stark obviously trusts amongst most baseball writers. And he said, I heard from execs from 2 teams that say that this week that Craig Kimbrel, God, his name is tough to say sometimes. Craig Kimbrel is looking for a deal north of $100 million for 6 years. He may come down on those 6 years, but he wants the money. The average annual value he wants. That's over $16 million per season, and that's what he wants at all times. Do you want to give another reliever that type of money? You just gave 3 years, $25 million to Joe Kelly, who has been a complete and utter disappointment at this point. So no, I don't. Bullpen, I am so against giving bullpen guys big money. A lot of you guys are not fans of Kenley Jansen anymore. I get it. I understand. I'm a huge Kenley Jansen fan. I believe in Kenley, and I think he's been pitching really well right now. Look, he gave up a run today on crazy circumstances that could have gone different ways. Chris Taylor being able to get that ball out to try and nab Christian Yelich at first, probably that would have been really close. It was a great diving grab, still got on base, and then he stole third base. Then there was the balk, then he stole third base, and then you had the fly out to Verdugo, who had the arm. The arm was there. He had it. If it was on line to the plate to Austin Barnes, that was an out. The ball was beating Christian Yelich. It was just offline, so that run could have been saved in some way. So I'm really still liking what I see from Kenley Jansen. He needed the work since he didn't pitch at all. If I don't believe so against St. Louis, because not a closer, so he needed the work, and he was only pitching 90 miles per hour, right around there. So, but I don't like those situations. I get this early time giving them that though. Sam 416 California love. Yep, all about that. So again, do you really want a guy like Craig Kimbrel to give him $100 million? No, over 6 years, $16 million a year for another bullpen guy. I don't believe in the whole giving bullpen guys a big amount of money, period. That just doesn't make sense to me. We never see it. We gave money to Brandon League. He was terrible, absolutely horrendous. All of these people. Whenever you bring in a guy that is in for bullpen, you give him big money, that's not the guy that you're using at the end of the year in the bullpen. It just happens year in and year out. And so many times you hear over the offseason, get more pitching in the bullpen, pay some guys in the bullpen. Well, the one guy you didn't work out so far. I'm hoping that he will, but he barely even made the roster for Boston last year. I still like the deal. 3 years, 25 makes sense. It's a movable deal if really necessary, but still, I've never been a fan. Never been a fan of that. Because D. Lauro is a CSF Titan. Oh, there you go. B. Marquez 0911. That's apparently why. Shout out Morrissey. Oh, yeah, so there you go, Morrissey. Mark Sox 1313. Dodgers just tweeted it will be first. Yeah, we already got that. Trick cards. Cody is a complete player. MVP year. I think he's got the ability to be an MVP type player. And the other guy that I think could be an MVP type player and as starting to show what he can do and what we really, really missed out of him last year, not having him, Corey Seager. Corey Seager to me was the biggest pickup of the offseason for any team. I know he was already on the team, but that putting his bat back into the lineup is a big deal to me. He's batting, what is he? He's up to right around 286, I believe, or right now it's fluctuated right now. So this Dodgers.com has him at 255, but I believe it's a higher number after the game, the 2 for 3. Yeah, he's at 280 now. So there you go. So yes, Corey Seager is a huge pickup for him. It's a much better for the Dodgers. Being able to slide him right back into that 2 or 3 spot, depending on who's pitching, is a huge deal. I love seeing that and I love that they're really going with the same lineups pretty much day in and day out. Depending on who's switching between 2 and 3, who's switching between 6 and 7, depends on who's on the field. But really, everybody's getting their days off. But for the most part, you're seeing the same thing. You're seeing Jock start, especially against righties. You're having Jock lead off, and then it's Seager, and then it's Turner, or it's Turner and then it's Seager, and it's Kike that's leading off. But really, it's always Seager, Turner, Seager, or Turner, Seager, and then Bellinger and Pollock, and that's an everyday thing. And I'm really happy that that's what's happening. And then you always have your catcher in that 8th spot right against the pitcher. And Austin Barnes, by the way, is batting .345 and is leading all catchers with an on-base percentage and had another 2 hits today. So it's that's my guy right there. We'll be fine, I hope, said James. Yep, I hope so too, but I do think he will be. Good stat, Taylor, but damn, those 4 runs hurt. Yes, let's see. Mike and Ike, 05. Let's hand Hill. Will be coming back. Urias back in the pen, and possibly Maeda as well. The bullpen will be just fine. It's April, guys. Your hand shouldn't be anywhere near panic button. I totally agree with everything you just say there, except for Maeda's probably going to stay in the starting rotation because he has all these incentives and they want to keep him in the starting rotation. However, when it gets down to the end of the year like he did last year, you'll probably see him in the bullpen again. They've been already said that Ross Stripling and Julio Urias are going to be going into the bullpen once Hill and Kershaw are back. So there's those. Adrian 416, do you think Muncy will be able to produce the same quality at bats that we loved him for last season? You know what? He had a great at bat, and it was crazy what you actually saw. When watching the game, you see the splits. He has complete reverse splits. He was batting somewhere around 500 against lefties as a lefty and below 200 against righties. And he is a lefty. You'd assume that it was like the Yasiel Puig thing from last year with the reverse splits. He always was. Even last year, Max Muncy was really good against lefties. I think he had an over 900 OPS against lefties alone. And that's the same thing that's kind of happening right now. So yes, Max Muncy I think can be the same quality. I'm a little bit worried that he's going to kind of come back down to earth. I think his home run numbers are going to drop. I don't see 35 from him again, but he does have 4 already, so maybe I'm wrong. But I think that, I do think that Muncy will be able to produce those same. He just has a very tight, compact swing where he's very patient at the plate and waits for his pitch, which has been what has been made him so he was so good last year because he wasn't usually swinging at the inside pitches. He wasn't swinging at those outside. He had a box that he really stayed within, and he could see where it was, and he stayed right there. So happy again what I'm seeing from them. And as J9 Mama says, Muncy's defense though not great. He's actually a decently good first baseman, and he actually had decent numbers at second base too. But for the most part, you're not going to see him at second. Maybe he'll fill in at third every once in a while for Justin Turner. I think that's a better spot for him. But really, you're going to see at second base for the most part. You're going to see Kike Hernandez almost every day, and Chris Taylor then filling in for him. And then when you get those 3 days on, 1 day off for Corey Seager at shortstop while he's still kind of fully coming back, then you'll see Taylor over at shortstop. That's what's so great about this team, and it's always been that way over these last few years, and really especially since Andrew Friedman really put his stamp on this team. Anybody can play at really any position. Taylor Spencer 4414, David Freese equals Chase Utley. Yes, he is the new Chase Utley, but he still has the bat that Chase didn't have last year. So Freese, again, another double today. It got it off of Josh Hader. You had your chance at Hader today, which is tough. You're assuming that you won't see him tomorrow, although I don't know who else they have in the back of the bullpen there. Jeremy Jeffries isn't there. Jeffress isn't there. Corey Knebel isn't there anymore for Milwaukee. So getting to Josh Hader at that point was a good thing, and you really had a chance. And guys were getting good at bats against him too, making him go full count consistently, making him use up pitches. Again, over 30 pitches in that 1 inning, in the 8th inning for Josh Hader. That's important. That's what you kind of got to do with all of these guys. Make guys work. And yes, the Aaron MP Hader was working. Frank Talk LA, you ready for Magic to resume his ambassadorship with the Dodgers? Look, if that's all he's doing is just calling out things, fine. It was the better move for him to leave the Lakers anyway. If he wants to spend his time worrying about the Dodgers, that's fine. I mean, he's just talking at that point. He doesn't actually have that much say, so I'm okay with any of that. B Marquez 0911, are you concerned about Martin's health this season? Well, he's already on the injured list. I know it's not that big of a deal. But he's on the IL now, and it's going to be for just a short amount of time. Hopefully it's just for the 10 days, but look, give him those days off. The Dodgers use that 10-day DL so well, and while they still can, they're going to use the hell out of it this year. You can still use it. They're going to use it. Next year, they'll go back, when it goes back to the 15-day DL, they'll adjust. But as of this year, you're going to see guys going consistently on and off that IL just for that very reason. So no, I'm not concerned about it. I'm sure he'll be fine. Give him some time off. I really want to see Barnes more so than anybody else anyway. Noah Z, when does Smith get called up? Will Smith could very easily get called up. They call up Rocky Gale. Rocky Gale is supposed to be just a good defensive catcher. He doesn't really have much offense, and really you've seen it. In that game, just yesterday, he struck out 3 times, I believe it was. I don't expect Rocky Gale to be up here very long. As soon as Russell Martin's back, he goes right back down. Maybe they try Will Smith, but they want to get Will Smith to actually have playing time, just like Keibert Ruiz. They want him to just have playing time down in those because they're kind of blocked at this moment with having Russell Martin there. Now, if you bring one of them up, and when there's a bigger issue with Russell Martin, then you might see a Ruiz or you might see a Smith move into these roles and maybe not use Gale as much. But they seem to like him because he was on the postseason roster at one point last year too. So another one of those guys that are, up there. Let's see. MLB Manny 24, way too early to bring them up. That's basically what we're saying here. It's too early. It's not time. We're not at that point yet. And unfortunately, my Periscope is not working for my specific platform, and that's really just disappointing. And I don't know why it didn't work that way, but hopefully it starts to work here at some point. Let's move back over to Facebook, which I haven't really gone over to. This is a very small computer. Valerie Arriaga Lima says, hello, Valerie. And then anybody else that's on there, welcome. And thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it. Let's move over to YouTube. I have all these different spots open, and I don't know where everything is just yet. I'm in a brand new studio. I'm looking at ESPN LA. Everything is brand new for today, so I'm still trying to figure out every little bit of what I'm doing here. So just bear with me a little bit while I try and figure some of this stuff out. And then while I'm waiting, God, there's all these little tabs open. I got to figure out the right ones. Ruben Moreno. What's up, Ruben? How are you? MLB Manny 24. Greg, might as well just sleep there. I really should. If I worked here tomorrow, I think I would. It looks dark in there, man. You know what? If you're on here, I actually have a big light on right above me, and I turned off the other light because it put a big screen right there, so I took that one off. But really, I mean, look, if you want to, here, let's get for the Instagram people, I'll let you see everything that's going on here. See, we are all the way around the studio, and I got this, there's the inside, there's the other lights. I got the big light up there. You want to see that? And all this going around here. So there you go, everybody that's watching. The Periscope moving around here a little bit. Not so bad to be in the studio here at ESPN LA. Cal N, this is all normal right now. Keep in mind we have no Ryu, no Hill, or Kershaw, and Stripling, Maeda, and Urias are not in the bullpen. This is what we all kind of really need to understand at this point, is that yes, it is still very early, and that was part of my topics. The very last thing was, it's early. It's still, guys are trying to figure things out. Doc is trying to figure things out, and this is what it's all about. Doc is really honestly trying to figure it out. He's letting things happen. He's letting some guys go 2 innings. He's letting guys go longer. He's trying things around. He's moving different pieces into different spots because he's seeing what really works as it works. Why not use Mason's chair? Because it's way too tall. It was over there. I actually moved it out because it was way too tall, and I was sitting over ESPN LA, and I thought this was a better spot. And really, what do I need? Everything kind of fits perfectly. So, and I can see right at you here. Way better that way. Where's Joe Dirt? Gabe Hernandez won. Joe Dirt does not work here. Like you can see, David Spade has not been here in quite some time, and although that was a great movie, it was very, very funny. Oosker do's, Oosker don'ts, all about that one. All right, I think I'm gonna just try and fix a couple more questions here. It's late. It's 11, almost 12 o'clock at night, and I'm still sitting at the studio after being here at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I'm just gonna answer 1 or 2 more questions from each little thing here, and then I'm gonna get out of here because honestly, I gotta go home and go to bed and see my family. It's been way too long here. I hate Johnny says, was it a mistake to let go of Puig and Kemp? That's a really good question, and I honestly think no, it wasn't. And if you look at Puig's numbers, he hasn't started off the year well. He just got into a big fight and got suspended for 2 games. So a lot of people are already saying that his locker room presence of not being there is way, way better that way. People are actually happier that he's not in that locker room, and that really says something. And you can see that they're already they're playing well, and really, he's a right fielder, and you have Cody Bellinger playing right field. Who would you rather have? Cody Bellinger or Yasiel Puig in right field? I'm 100% team Cody. So it was the right deal. Trick cards, I like Kimbrel, but not at that price. Agree with you. Way too much money. For sure, getting Corey back makes our offense so much better. Agree with you there. Case 1990. Team struggled late in 2017 and early in 2018. They'll get it right once starters get healthy. Again, perfect. Absolutely perfect to understand, and I believe we're all on the same page here. 15 games in the season. Not time to panic. Night, Greg, love you. Hey, love you too, Kellen. Appreciate it. Favorite food spot after a Dodger game? I've been going to Mohawk Bend with the station. They actually have really good food there, so that's a good one. The shortstop, really good. Good place to go after games or even before games. But for the most part, I go home after games. Grundall owned us tonight. Oh man, Gabe Hernandez. Wasn't it be so fitting if he would have had a pass ball with the bases loaded with Josh Hader on, that just something got away from it. It was thrown too high, or just a breaking pitch got, or the what is it called, the changeup just got away from him somehow. He just dropped it and it got away and a run scored because that's would have been so fitting after the night that he had with the home run, doing good things for the Brewers, and then the bad things as well. Go get some Sleek Trick cards. I will very soon. I'm going to answer just a couple more, and then I'm going to get out of here. MLB Manny 24. Muncy has been nice, but he'll eventually return to what he is, like Chris Taylor. I think Muncy has a better, higher ceiling than Chris Taylor does. I was huge on Chris Taylor last year. He kind of proved me wrong, so a little bit down on him right now. But I still like him. I think he's got that extra piece to him. He's a good defensive player. He does have some pop. He just needs to stop swinging for the fences, and it doesn't seem like that's happening anytime soon. Mike and Ike 05. We focus so much on Dodgers struggling to get runs in, yet fail to realize all teams go through that. It's not just us. Yes, absolutely. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. Sometimes you're going to be having slumps happen throughout the year with every team all the time. Look at the teams that are actually struggling right now. If you actually look, the Boston Red Sox are 5-9. They won the World Series last year. The Yankees are 5-8. They're supposed to be one of the best teams in baseball. They have a ton of pitching issues right now with all those injuries. But still, that's another team that's supposed to be really good and is struggling. The Cleveland Indians are 8-5. They're not playing all that great. There's a lot. I mean, even the Astros 9-5. All these teams are just not where they're supposed to be just yet. 7-5 for the Braves, 8-4 for the Phillies. The Cubs are 5-8. It all happens. It's so early, and that's where it'll be. By the way, XNXX, just so you know that. The Aaron MP Doyers will find their way again. Count on it. Agreed. Gabe Hernandez won, but all teams don't lose the World Series. 2 World Series in a row. Bar is high. It is high, but not 15 games in. We all care about what happens at the end of the year because they will be back in the playoffs. I honestly will be having more of these discussions as the years go on. B. Steinbach 22. We are missing Kershaw and Hill. Pump the brakes, everyone. People get upset. It's just how this is, and that's what's great about these post games, is that you can come on here and express all of your feelings and express everything that you're so upset about and everything that's happening, because this is a place for you to actually vent, and I will be able to listen to you and read what you're saying and actually say. B. Steinbach 22 is saying all of these things. J9 Mama is saying these things. Frank Talk LA, B. Marquez 0911, Valerie Arriega Limas. It doesn't matter who you are. I will read everything that you say, and you get to vent and feel better about it. So always be back here. Next time I do this, I'll be doing them one per series, so I'll be back next week here in this studio after the games, whether it's home or away. And make sure to follow me on all of the platforms so that you don't ever miss any of these post games. At Bergman Greg on Twitter, at ESPN Los Angeles on Twitter, at Bergman Greg on Instagram. You can just find me on Facebook, Greg Bergman. Follow, or I will say yes to everybody. I know it's a little bit odd, but MPG Postgame on YouTube and MPG_Postgame on Twitch. But you can find me at all of these places, and we are able to actually have these conversations night in, night out on Twitter, or when I do these live streams, usually about 2 to 3 times a week, one per series, and I will always announce when those are going to be. All right, thank you very much for being with me. Until next time, Caustic, just like that. I will see you guys next week. Thank you very much for being on the very first edition of the Blue Review with Greg Bergman. Thank you to ESPN Los Angeles for allowing me to use their name and to use the studio and to be here for 14 hours. All right, that'll do it for me. I'll be back next week. Thank you guys very much. I'm out of here. Love you guys. See ya.